I'm Peter Wilson. This is Peter Talks Vinyl, and I am going to speak about a record that cannot be talked about enough, and it's Rainbow's Rising. Those of you that know the kind of music that I do hard rock stuff, but I'm influenced by a lot of different music. Power metal, hard rock, prog metal, prog, and so forth. This is an album that is a landmark, right? It's a landmark for the metal community because this is kind of like where metal kind of showed what it could do. It's a majestic record. A lot of people will credit Rainbow's Rising as the beginning of quote-unquote power metal, which became its total own genre in Europe that's still played to this day with countless groups that follow it. I just call this record kind of the perfect marriage of that kind of storytelling, fantasy, kind of subject matter along with really heavy hard rock grooves with some touches of prog and other kind of music going on too. The bringing of Ronnie James Dio's voice into the throes of the public, right? Dio had made already a record with Rainbow, right? Their first album, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. I feel like with this album, Ritchie kind of was trying to prove to everyone that, hey, even though I'm not in Deep Purple anymore, I can still make music that matters, that you need to be listening to. So I absolutely adore this album. This was one of those records that I'd heard about, was really expensive everywhere, and I remember literally being in the East Village one night with my mom and seeing it on the street, and the guy sold it to me for 50 cents. This is the same record with the gatefold sleeve, right? And we're seeing the classic Rainbow lineup here. You have one of my favorite hard rock drummers, Cozy Powell, on it, who is just, it's a tour de force for him. He just really shows his whole thing. But I was really introduced here heavily. I'd already known about Deep Purple, so I knew about how great Ritchie Blackmore is, but just really first hearing Ronnie James Dio's voice in a different sense. I'd known him already from Sabbath as a kid, but this was the first record that really spoke to me on a different level. His singing is just tremendous. It doesn't have a lot of songs. My only beef with this record is that it's short. Not for a 70s record. I think it's something like 34 minutes, 33 minutes, something like that. It just barely makes a long form record, but man, all the songs are worth it. Of course, the one that is like the most tremendous and the epic on it is Stargazer, which I don't think I could get past that song for a good set of hours as a kid, and sometimes now I just listen to it and just marvel by its grandiosity and everything that it does. But all the singing is great. Do You Close Your Eyes is a really cool song, maybe the weakest on the record, but still great. Tower Woman is a killer opener. A Light in the Black is just genius. Just a tremendous album. For those of you that are kind of trying to figure out what hard rock I should be checking out in the 70s, or what was the beginnings of kind of a more modern sense of metal, yes, of course, before that you had Priest already, that was, pretty much putting their stake in the ground, and Sabbath, who are the inventors of metal. But this Rainbow record is really great because to me it shows a different direction that metal can go in. It, like I said, it kind of really gets into fantasy, but there's also kind of an interesting layer to it. Blackmore is doing just ungodly things with his guitar, but the layering with the keyboards, Tony Carey's playing keyboard, and he's just really adding a different depth to the music. So a lot of times when people say to me, oh, metal all sounds the same, or it's just this one way of doing things, this record really shows that it can be progressive, it can be different, and the arrangements can be interesting, and it can take you on trips, literally and figuratively. As I'm going on, I can go on and on about this album, but again, Rainbow's Rising is just like where it's at. Even the album cover is kind of like a symbol of defiance and just saying, hey, this is where it's at. You need to check out this record with the awesome fist grabbing the rainbow, right? Just an iconic album, tremendous playing, great songs. If you don't own it, buy it. If you haven't listened to it in a while, buy it again. The remaster is great. I actually have, this is my original copy, and I have another copy floating around because I play it so much, and this one's pretty knackered. But anyway, Rainbow Rising.